The jungle screamed with violence before dawn, ripping silence into shreds. A wild cry burst as branches snapped, and Samuel whispered, "Run, Hannah, don't look back." The air thickened with dread as a shadow lunged, jaws flashing like steel. Hannah stumbled, clutching the earth, her heartbeat pounding louder than the thunder above. Their breaths mingled with the storm, raw and uneven, echoing through the trees. From the undergrowth, Daniel gasped, "It's here! It's hunting us!" The predator's growl carved through the night, primal and absolute. Lightning split the sky, revealing teeth drenched in hunger, and nature itself held its breath in judgment. This was no chase. It was execution, unfolding with ruthless clarity. The storm raged louder, drowning reason in chaos. Samuel pulled Hannah upright, his grip fierce, whispering, "It won't stop. We must move now." The jungle seemed alive, roots twisting like serpents, trees groaning as if mourning. Daniel crawled from his cover, his knees sinking deep into the mud, whispering prayers swallowed by the storm. Each flash of lightning revealed eyes that weren't theirs, watching from the void. Hannah clutched her chest, whispering, "It's too close. I can feel it breathing." Rain hammered the earth, a cruel drumbeat counting down their final moments. The earth trembled under sudden weight, and silence carved through the rain. Samuel froze, every muscle locking, whispering, "It's here again." Hannah's teeth chattered, her eyes fixed on the black wall of trees. Daniel clutched Samuel's arm, his voice breaking, "It's circling us." A growl rumbled, not from one place but many, bouncing between trunks. The air itself seemed to choke them, thick with dread. The predator was no ghost. It was hunger given form. And in that moment, survival shrank into a fragile thread, ready to snap. The lightning tore across the canopy, casting jagged light on Predator's eyes, burning like fire in the storm. Hannah gasped, clutching Samuel's arm, "It's watching us." Daniel whispered, "It's waiting for us to break." The ground shook with each step as the beast closed in. Samuel pulled them tighter, voice hoarse, "Don't run, don't give it what it wants." The storm howled, leaves whipped into frenzy, and nature itself seemed to bow under the predator's reign. The predator lunged, earth exploding under its paws. Samuel shoved Hannah aside, body straining, shouting, "Move!" Daniel stumbled, mud splattering, arms flailing as terror carved his face. The roar split the night, louder than thunder, shaking bone and spirit alike. Hannah screamed, a sound swallowed by the storm's fury. For a heartbeat, time shattered into fragments. Fear, teeth, rain, blood, the jungle itself frozen in its judgment. In that instant, survival was nothing but borrowed breath. The storm calmed to a bitter drizzle, leaving silence more terrifying than the roar. Samuel dragged Hannah to her feet, his voice breaking, "You're alive, stay with me." Daniel's face was pale, eyes wide, whispering, "It didn't follow, but it's not gone." The jungle exhaled mist, heavy and suffocating, as if hiding its secrets in every shadow. Hannah pressed her forehead against Samuel's chest, whispering, "I can't stop shaking." His hand lingered on her shoulder, trembling with the same fear he tried to bury. In that fragile stillness, survival was no longer about running. It was about holding on to each other, refusing to surrender. They moved deeper into the trees, roots rising like twisted veins under their feet. Daniel stumbled, clutching his side, groaning, "I can't keep up." Samuel slowed, jaw tight, forcing patience. Hannah looked back, her voice soft but sharp. "Don't you dare stop. You matter." The forest hummed with hidden life, the call of unseen birds, mixing with dripping leaves. For a heartbeat, the predator felt distant, and in its absence, the raw humanity between them pulsed stronger. Samuel's hand brushed Daniel's shoulder, unspoken promise flowing in silence. They would not leave him behind. A fallen log blocked their path, slick with moss and rain. Hannah climbed first, slipping, then catching herself, breath ragged. Samuel muttered, "Careful, it's waiting for mistakes." Daniel leaned heavily against the trunk, whispering, I don't think I can cross. Samuel locked eyes with him, voice raw. Then I'll carry you if I have to. The moment cracked Hannah's fear, her lips trembling into a half-smile before Rain swallowed it again. The log was more than wood. It was a barrier testing their will to move as one. Fragile bodies held by fragile trust. The forest thickened, vines hanging like nooses from the canopy. Samuel paused, eyes narrowing, listening. Hannah whispered, "Why did you stop?" His reply was low, steady, "Because I hear nothing." Even Daniel felt it, the absence of sound more violent than the predator's roar. Hannah's fingers brushed Samuel's hand, desperate for connection. He looked down, meeting her gaze, and for that fleeting moment, the jungle's silence became bearable. Fear had carved them hollow, but within that emptiness their bond forged steel. They found shelter beneath an overhang of stone, dripping water forming shallow pools. Samuel sank to his knees, exhaustion seeping into his bones. Hannah leaned against the wall, arms wrapped around herself, whispering, "We're breaking apart." Daniel sat shivering, his voice thin. "If we stop, it'll find us." Samuel's eyes darkened, the weight of choice pressing on him. But his voice stayed firm. "We hold here just long enough to breathe." The shelter was no fortress, only fragile illusion, but in the eye of fear, it was the only anchor they had. The storm had passed, but hunger gnawed louder than thunder ever did. Samuel pressed a hand to his stomach, eyes scanning for fruit among the shadows. Hannah whispered, "There's nothing left here, only rot." Daniel staggered, his lips cracked, voice faint. I need water." The jungle mocked them with abundance untouchable, vines heavy with poison, berries gleaming with death. Every choice carried danger. Every breath reminded them of their fragility. And yet, Samuel clenched his fists, forcing himself forward, whispering a vow only the trees could hear. "I will not let them die here." The silence broke with distant growls, faint but deliberate, circling closer. Hannah's face drained of color, whispering, "It's hunting again." Samuel steadied her, though his pulse betrayed fear. "We stay together, no matter what." Daniel clutched a broken branch like a weapon, his hands shaking too violently to hold it firm. The growl came again, deeper, closer, vibrating through the ground. The jungle was no longer endless. It was a cage tightening with every breath. Their choices shrank to two: stand and break, or run and shatter. They ran, stumbling through vines that tore at their skin, the growls now chasing their every step. Daniel tripped, crashing into mud, crying, "Leave me." Samuel hauled him up with raw strength, shouting, "Not a chance." Hannah's breath came sharp and ragged, eyes darting, voice breaking, "It's faster, Samuel. It's going to catch us." The predator roared behind them, branches splintering under its pursuit. Their bodies screamed for rest, but the jungle demanded they bleed instead. They burst into a clearing, gasping, lungs burning. The predator halted at the edge, amber eyes watching from shadows. Samuel growled under his breath, "It's playing with us." Hannah pressed her palm to her mouth, whispering, like a cat with a mouse. Daniel collapsed to his knees, shaking, "I can't fight it." The predator paced, deliberate, as though savoring their collapse. Fear was no longer an intruder. It was their master, bending their bones until even courage felt hollow. The jaguar's roar tore the air, thunder without storm. Samuel shoved Hannah behind him, voice raw, "Stay close, don't move." Daniel's eyes brimmed with tears, muttering, "It's the end." The beast advanced one step, then another, each motion dripping with inevitability. Hannah clutched Samuel's back, whispering broken prayers, while his hands tightened into fists he knew were useless. The jungle fell into silence, no birds, no wind, only predator and prey, locked in a moment that felt carved into eternity. The predator stopped, its growl dissolving into a low, guttural rumble that almost sounded like pain. Samuel frowned, chest heaving, whispering, "It's not striking." Hannah leaned forward, confusion piercing her fear. "Why? Why is it holding back?" Daniel trembled but forced himself to look closer, whispering, "It's not hunting us. It's bleeding." A streak of crimson dripped from the beast's flank, staining the wet earth. The hunter they feared had been wounded long before it found them. And suddenly the line between predator and prey blurred into something far more haunting. The jungle's silence deepened, as though mourning its creatures alike. Samuel whispered, "It's fighting its own war." Hannah's voice cracked. "All this time, we were only another shadow in its struggle." Daniel's hands shook as he lowered his makeshift branch, whispering, "It's no monster, it's surviving, like us." The beast's labored breath echoed, ragged and uneven, carrying more desperation than menace. And in that moment, fear twisted into something rawer. Empathy, unwilling and sharp, binding them closer to their enemy than to themselves. Lightning cracked again, not above but behind, striking an ancient tree. Flames licked upward, devouring vines in furious hunger. Hannah gasped, "The forest. It's burning." Samuel's eyes widened, realization crashing. This isn't about predator and prey. The jungle itself will kill us all. Daniel staggered back, smoke filling his lungs, coughing. It's not hunting. It's running from the fire. The twist was merciless. The enemy was never a single beast. It was the world collapsing around them, swallowing hunter and hunted alike. The predator limped past them, its eyes never meeting theirs, driven by the same primal need to escape. Samuel whispered, "It's not our hunter anymore." Hannah's hands trembled, tears cutting through mud on her cheeks. "It's like us." Daniel staggered forward, his voice trembling. "Then we're running together or we're dying together." The fire roared, swallowing branches, painting the night in red. For the first time, predator and prey shared a single truth. Survival was no longer a battle against each other, but against the indifferent judgment of the forest itself. They fled together, steps pounding against trembling earth, fire chasing their heels. The jaguar's roars blended with their screams, not in pursuit but in chorus. Hannah gasped between breaths. It was never the enemy. Samuel's jaw clenched, voice raw. The enemy is everything that devours without mercy. Daniel stumbled yet pressed on, coughing. The jungle doesn't care who it takes. And as the flames closed in, the truth seared itself into them. In nature, survival was never victory, only reprieve. The fire advanced in furious waves, consuming the jungle with unstoppable rage. Smoke poured through the canopy, turning day into suffocating twilight. Samuel dragged Hannah by the wrist, his voice hoarse and broken. "Keep running, don't let the flames swallow you." Hannah's lungs burned with every breath, her words barely escaping. "I can't breathe, Samuel. The air is gone." Behind them, Daniel coughed violently, stumbling on roots that seemed determined to drag him into the inferno. His cracked lips whispered, "I can't go farther, leave me here." Samuel spun, rage and desperation blazing in his eyes. "No one gets left behind. Do you hear me? Not you, not anyone." The jaguar limped beside them, its bloody flank painting streaks on the burning soil, its roar mixing with the forest's death cry. Hannah's hand tightened in Samuel's, her eyes wide with terror yet glimmering with fierce defiance. They were prey no longer, they were survivors, forcing their bodies against the will of a world collapsing around them. A monstrous crack split the air as an ancient tree crashed before them, sparks raining like molten shards. Daniel screamed, covering his face. "We're trapped." Hannah threw herself against the trunk, clawing at vines that burned her skin, her voice raw. "We have to climb. There's no other way." Samuel shielded Daniel from falling embers, his muscles trembling with exhaustion but refusing surrender. The jaguar circled the fallen tree, its sides heaving, eyes locked not with hunger, but with the same urgency that drove the humans. Samuel met its gaze for a heartbeat, both warriors broken by survival yet bound by it. "It's no longer us against it," Samuel muttered through clenched teeth. "It's us against everything else." Hannah cried as her palms bled from tearing at vines, whispering, "Pain doesn't matter. Not now, not here." The fire surged closer, every second sharpening the choice: climb through fire or die beneath it. The climb began with agony. Hannah scrambled upward, flames licking at her legs, skin blistering, her cry swallowed by the roar of fire. Samuel pushed Daniel forward with brute strength, his voice cracking. "Climb! Don't stop! Don't you dare stop!" Daniel's body trembled violently, fingers slipping on scorched bark, his voice breaking. "I'll fall, I can't hold." Samuel's reply thundered over the flames. "Then I'll carry you, but you will not fall." The jaguar launched itself at the trunk, claws raking the burning wood, hauling its wounded body upward with feral determination. Hannah glanced back, her ash-streaked face streaked with tears, whispering, "It's climbing too, it refuses to die." The three humans clawed upward, their lungs on fire, their hearts pounding against inevitability, and with each desperate movement they rose, not as prey, not as predators, but as creatures desperate for the same thing: breath. At the trunk's peak, flames raged below, devouring everything in their path. Hannah collapsed, pulling Daniel with her, tears streaking black trails down her soot-stained cheeks. Samuel heaved himself upward, arms quivering, face pale with exhaustion. Suddenly, a paw struck near his head, claws slicing air. Hannah screamed, her voice breaking. "Samuel!" Time froze as jaguar and man lay inches apart, Predator's fangs flashing, Samuel's fists clenched in defiance. But the strike never came. The beast collapsed beside him, chest heaving violently, blood soaking its fur, eyes dim yet unbroken. Samuel gasped, staring into those fading amber eyes, whispering through disbelief, "It doesn't want to kill me. It only wants to live." For a moment, predator and prey lay together, equals carved from the same desperation, both reduced to trembling creatures bound to a single truth: survival. The trunk groaned, splitting under its own weight, the fire devouring its strength. Samuel dragged himself up, Hannah clutching him in desperation, whispering, "Don't let go, please." Daniel sobbed uncontrollably, his hands raw, pulling at Samuel's arm with every shred of strength he had left. The jaguar staggered to its feet, a final roar erupting from its chest, so piercing it silenced even the inferno. Samuel froze, staring at the beast, his voice trembling. It chose to fight until the very end. The trunk began to collapse, embers exploding like stars across the blackened sky. Hannah screamed, her voice lost in the thunder of fire. Daniel's cry cracked into silence as the ground vanished beneath them. Predator and prey fell into the same abyss, bound not by hatred but by the merciless beauty of survival, brutal, magnificent, unforgettable. The burning trunk collapsed into the abyss, its roar swallowed by smoke and ash. Samuel clung to jagged stone, his body trembling, nails tearing against the rock. Hannah's scream tore through the chaos, "Hold on, Samuel!" Her arms burned as she pulled him up, blood mixing with soot across her skin. Daniel collapsed nearby, gasping, chest heaving, coughing until his lips were red. The jungle was no longer flame but ghost, a graveyard of charred branches, scorched roots, and endless smoke curling into the dawn. Samuel lay on the ground, staring at the gray sky, his voice hollow. "It's over. The forest is dead." Hannah's tears cut black streaks through her cheeks as she whispered, "But we are not." The silence pressed harder than the fire ever did, a silence born not of safety but of loss too vast to name. The air reeked of death, charred leaves falling like ash-filled snow. Samuel sat upright, clutching his ribs, whispering, "The forest has judged us, and we remain." Hannah touched his arm, her eyes searching his face. "We survived, Samuel. That has to mean something." Daniel's voice cracked through his trembling body. "But at what cost? Everything around us is gone." A fallen bird lay near them, wings blackened, its beak frozen in silent cry. Hannah turned away, covering her mouth, whispering, "Not everything survives." Samuel closed his eyes, forcing down grief that threatened to shatter him, his voice breaking. "We live to remember." The jungle had shifted from predator to pyre, indifferent to who walked from the flames and who did not. From the smoke, a shadow stirred. The jaguar emerged limping, its once golden eyes now dulled by pain. Samuel froze, breath catching, whispering, "It's still alive." Hannah's hand gripped his tightly, her voice shaking. "Why hasn't it left us?" Daniel's pale face lifted, eyes wide, because it has nowhere else to go. The predator stood only a few steps away, blood dripping from its flank, yet it did not strike. It collapsed onto the blackened soil, its chest rising and falling, a fragile rhythm that mirrored their own. Hannah whispered, almost to herself, "It's not our enemy. It never was." Samuel's jaw tightened, his voice breaking. "It fought the same war we did." The jungle, stripped bare, had left them no divisions, only the truth of creatures bound by survival. The predator's breathing slowed, each exhale a whisper against the silence. Hannah knelt, tears spilling freely, her voice breaking, "It's dying." Samuel's eyes darkened, torn between relief and sorrow. Nature gives no mercy, not to us, not to it. Daniel crawled closer, trembling but unable to look away, whispering, "We are watching the end of something greater than us." The jaguar's gaze lifted to Samuel for one last moment, its eyes carrying not threat but resignation. Samuel leaned forward, his voice soft but steady, "You fought until the end. That is more than most of us can say." The beast exhaled, its body going still, leaving only the hiss of smoldering earth. Hannah covered her face, whispering into her palms, "Even enemies deserve mourning." The silence became eternal, the kind that shapes memory into scars. The dawn light broke through the smoke, weak but steady, illuminating the ruin of the forest. Samuel stood slowly, his body broken but his spirit unbowed, whispering, "We live, because it could not." Hannah rose beside him, her hand slipping into his, whispering, "We carry it with us, Samuel, its fight, its fire." Daniel staggered upright, his eyes hollow, muttering, "The forest will never forget us, and neither will we." The silence of absence pressed against them, heavier than any roar, heavier than flame. Charred trees reached skyward like tombstones, and the air hung thick with the stench of endings. Samuel turned one last time to the predator's body, his voice steady though lined with grief. It was never cruel. It was survival. With that truth carved into their souls, they walked forward into a world remade by fire, carrying scars that would never fade. The dawn rose weakly, its light fractured by smoke, painting the ruined jungle in shades of gray and gold. Samuel stumbled forward, every muscle trembling, his voice hollow, "We are still here." Hannah's gaze lingered on the scorched earth, her whisper breaking the stillness. "The forest is gone, but it carries us inside its silence." Daniel limped beside them, each step heavy, his words raw. "The fire took everything, but it did not take us." Behind them the jaguar's body lay still, the predator-turned monument of what survival truly meant. The air no longer carried growls or thunder, only the echo of what had burned and what had bled. The jungle had spoken, and its language was final. They reached the river, its surface blackened by drifting ash, reflecting fragments of sky through broken currents. Samuel knelt, cupping water in shaking hands, whispering, "Even this carries the fire." Hannah crouched beside him, her reflection fractured by ripples, whispering, "We are broken too, but we move still." Daniel splashed his face, his voice cracking, "If the forest can burn and still breathe, then so can we." The river's current carried branches, embers, and ghosts alike, reminding them that nothing survived unchanged. Their eyes lingered on its flow, knowing that survival was not triumph, it was only another kind of loss. As they rested, the jungle began whispering again, not with predators or storms, but with the fragile stir of life. A bird's cry broke through smoke, weak yet defiant. Hannah lifted her head, whispering, "Something still sings." Samuel stared at the charred trees, his voice rough, "Life does not vanish. It endures in silence, in ashes, in echoes." Daniel's lips curled into the faintest broken smile. "If it sings, then we can walk." Around them, tiny shoots pushed through blackened soil, proof that endings were only beginnings carved by fire. The survivors felt the weight of scars pressing into them, but beneath it, something new stirred, fragile, like breath. They walked again, the silence heavy, every step echoing against the hollowed forest. Samuel's voice was low, almost reverent, "The fire spared us, but not for kindness." Hannah's hand brushed his, her whisper trembling. It spared us so we could remember. Daniel's eyes searched the blackened sky, his words quiet: if we forget, then it truly dies. Behind them, the forest stood as grave and witness both, charred bones of trees reaching skyward like arms of the fallen. Their shadows stretched long, carrying memory forward as if the jungle had marked them as its last testimony. At the forest's edge, they stopped. Before them stretched an open horizon, the first clear sky they had seen since the storm began. Samuel's chest rose and fell, his voice soft. The jungle is gone, but its echo lives in us. Hannah's eyes glistened with tears that refused to fall, her whisper sharp as broken glass. Every breath is its memory. Daniel closed his eyes, whispering, "We carry the fire, and we carry the silence." They turned once more toward the ruin, the jaguar's still form hidden deep within, its roar lingering like thunder in their minds. Then they stepped forward into the unknown, bound by scars, bound by echoes, bound by the truth that survival is never victory, it is only the will to continue.